The Romans were all about living life to the fullest and making the most of every moment. And, just like us, they knew that being healthy was key to enjoying all the amazing things life had to offer. But be warned, some of their methods to achieve this might make you raise an eyebrow, or two, or three. From questionable diet habits to bizarre beauty rituals, the Romans did hygiene their own way, and let's just say it was rather unique. They stayed clean and practiced proper hygiene, but not in the way we do today. Oh no, these Romans were pioneers in the art of getting clean, even if it meant getting a little creative. So, what did they do? The Romans took their health to the next level with a little help from bathing. If you thought the ancient Romans were clueless about hygiene, think again. The Romans had a remarkable understanding of hygiene, recognizing the importance of bathing and the dangers of germs and infection. In ancient Rome, bathing was a big deal. It wasn't just about getting clean, it was about health, decency, and luxury. The early Romans bathed their arms and legs daily, but saved the full bath for once a week. As Rome's wealth and influence expanded, public baths became central to daily life. Much like modern spas or wellness centers, these baths were not just places for cleansing, but also hubs for exercise, relaxation, and social interaction. These public baths were elaborate, with sauna rooms, heated and chilled pools, and complex bathing rituals. Men and women bathed separately, with women starting their day with a morning bath, while men unwound in the late afternoon. And, for a small fee, all citizens could enjoy the public baths. But, of course, the wealthiest Romans had their own private, richly decorated baths. But here's the twist: they didn't use soap. Instead, they relied on olive oil and a scraping tool to get clean. But that's not all. The Romans also used dirty oil from men's bodies as a hair conditioner for women. Also, it seems the Romans were fans of repurposing bodily fluids. This leads us to a key ingredient in the Romans maintaining good hygiene, which was urine. Researchers at the University of Chicago uncovered this gem, and we're still trying to wrap our heads around it. And who knows, maybe one day we'll look back on our own hygiene habits and think, wow, we were gross. Can you even imagine living in a world where something as mundane as urine becomes a valuable resource? Well, in ancient Rome, the humblest of bodily fluids was transformed into a hot commodity. The Romans used urine for everything from washing their clothes to brushing their teeth. They believed that urine had strong cleaning properties, making it perfect for removing tough stains and whitening teeth. Thanks to its high ammonia content, urine was a surprisingly effective detergent used by fullers, workers in the cloth industry, to clean fabrics. They would soak clothes in urine and stomp on them to remove dirt and grease. It was also used in leather tanning to soften hides and strip hair from animal skins, as well as in dyeing textiles to help set colors. In fact, the Romans were so obsessed with urine that they even imposed taxes on its sale. Emperor Vespasian, in particular, saw the value in urine and made sure to cash in on the trend, introducing the vectigal urinae, or urine tax. This tax was placed on those who collected urine from public urinals and sold it for various industrial purposes. But how did they collect all this urine? Well, it wasn't exactly a glamorous job. People would gather urine from public urinals, and some even went door to door with large vats, asking people to contribute to the cause. The uses of urine didn't stop at cleaning and oral hygiene. The Romans also used it to make soap and face masks, taking advantage of its supposed lightening properties. Speaking about pee, in ancient Rome, a trip to the toilet was a luxury for the few and a nightmare for the many. But despite the challenges, the Romans were determined to make their toilets as hygienic and comfortable as possible. The ancient Romans had pipe heat and employed sanitary technology to create toilets that were ahead of their time. Stone receptacles were used for toilets, and some even had heated toilets in their public baths. The toilets in Pompeii were famously known as Vespasians, after the Roman emperor who charged a toilet tax. But even with these improvements, sewage systems were rare, and most people had to use clay pots, chamber pots, or bedpans. Only the rich had indoor plumbing and flushing toilets, which were amazing inventions of ancient Roman engineering. The Romans may not have invented the toilet, but they certainly improved upon it. Archaeologists have discovered that the first simple toilets were actually Mesopotamian pits, lined with hollow ceramic cylinders to prevent excrement from escaping. And as for Rome's famous sewage system, well, it's been argued that it was rarely used, simply because the public toilets were so disgusting. But despite the challenges, the Romans persevered, laying the groundwork for the modern water closets we use today. Their approach to toilet hygiene was, to put it mildly, a mixed bag of genius and, well, utter chaos. The Roman ligula, a sponge on a stick, was the go-to tool for cleaning oneself after using the toilet. But in public toilets, these sponges were shared among users without being cleaned, a recipe for disaster. Recently, archaeologists uncovered a silver Roman ligula in Wales, which likely served both toilet and cosmetic purposes. Its silver composition even gave it antimicrobial properties, making it potentially useful for medical purposes. This discovery has shed new light on the Romans' approach to hygiene and their resourcefulness in using everyday objects for multiple purposes. But the risk of these public toilets: creatures living in the sewage system would crawl up and bite users, while methane buildup sometimes caused toilets to explode. Yes, you heard that right. The Roman public toilets, known as latrinae, were often dimly lit, cramped, and poorly ventilated. The smell was unbearable, and the risk of disease was ever present. Despite these challenges, the Romans persevered, and their public toilets became an integral part of daily life. But it wasn't all doom and gloom. The Romans also made significant advancements in toilet technology, including the development of improved sewage systems and public baths. These innovations not only improved hygiene, but also provided a sense of community and socialization. Luckily, our modern toilets are a far cry from these ancient hazards, but it's fascinating to explore the Romans' creative approach to toilet hygiene. Who knew that something as mundane as a toilet could be so, well, deadly? In Rome, toilets were a perilous business. People believed that demons lurked in the restrooms, waiting to pounce on unsuspecting users. To keep these evil spirits away, Romans would use magic, writing spells on bathroom walls to protect themselves. But for those who couldn't rely on magic, there was another option: praying to Fortuna, the goddess of luck. Some toilets even came equipped with statues of Fortuna, guarding the entrance like a porcelain sentinel. Users would offer a quick prayer before stepping inside, hoping to stay safe. However, in 600 BC, the king of Rome, Tarquinius Priscus, decided to take a more practical approach to toilet safety. He commissioned the construction of a sewer system beneath the city, built mainly by semi-forced laborers. The Roman sewer system, known as the Cloaca Maxima, was so well designed that parts of it are still in use today, now linked to modern sewers. Its success led to similar systems across the Roman Empire, reinforcing the Romans' reputation as master engineers. Built to remove waste and keep the city clean, it remained functional for centuries. One of the most impressive aspects of the Roman sewer system was its connection to iconic landmarks like the Colosseum. The Colosseum, one of Rome's most famous amphitheaters, was actually linked to the ancient sewer system. The system was designed to remove waste and sewage from the city, including from public toilets and bathhouses. Speaking of toilets, let's explore an unexpected topic: farting in ancient Rome. Let's be honest, passing gas has always been a bit embarrassing, but in Rome, it wasn't just a social faux pas. It could even lead to conflict. As in many cultures, farting in public was seen as rude and embarrassing, especially among the elite. However, in less formal settings, it might not have been such a big deal. Throughout history, farting has been blamed for sparking disputes, and the Romans took it seriously. In fact, Emperor Claudius once considered issuing a decree allowing people to let loose at the dinner table. Why? Because according to reports, someone nearly died from holding in a fart out of sheer modesty. But despite the importance of understanding farting, the ancient world was surprisingly clueless about its causes. In fact, it wasn't until 1998 that scientists figured out how to tell the difference between gas from swallowing air and gas made in the stomach. As Elizabeth Lepato notes in her brief medical history of farting, the causes of excessive flatulence evaded medical science for millennia. In 1975, Dr. Levitt conducted an experiment involving pumping argon gas into patients' rectums that he discovered people farted at the same rate they were filled with gas. Astonishing, right? The ancient Romans may have been clueless about the science behind farting, but they certainly knew how to make it a laughing matter. Farting might have been a topic of debate in ancient Rome, but when it came to scents, the Romans had a serious passion for something far more pleasant: perfumes. Perfumes have been around since the time of the Romans, and they were absolutely obsessed with them. Perfume shops. Oh, there were a dime a dozen in ancient Rome, with entire streets lined with them. The Romans loved their perfumes, and they came in all sorts of forms: powders made from crushed flower petals and spices, liquids made from oils squeezed from flowers, resins and spices, and extracts from a single source like almonds, roses, or quinces. The Romans were masters of perfumery, and their scents were highly prized throughout the empire. They even had a special perfume-making guild where artisans would carefully craft their fragrances using the finest ingredients. The ancient Romans were known for their love of luxury, and their obsession with roses takes the cake. Or should we say, the rose petal. Like the Greeks, the Romans believed in applying different scents to different parts of their bodies. Roman soldiers, for instance, perfumed themselves with a potent mix of cedar, pine, ginger, mimosa, tangerine, orange, and lemon. But when it came to roses, the Romans went all out. Rose water baths were a staple in public baths, and roses were tossed in the air during ceremonies and funerals. Theatergoers sat under areas scented with rose perfume, and people indulged in rose pudding, concocted love potions with rose oil, and even stuffed their pillows with rose petals. But the ultimate rose enthusiast was Emperor Nero. This Roman ruler took his love of roses to new heights, or should we say, new depths. He bathed in rose oil wine, spent a staggering 4 million sesterces. It's no wonder that, according to some sources, more perfume was splashed around at his funeral in AD 65 than was produced in Arabia in a year. Even the processionary mules were scented because, why not? And let's just say the basis of modern perfumes was built on these things the Romans actually tried out by experimenting different scents. Archaeologists even unearthed a long-lost treasure, the Augustodunum cage cup, a stunning 1,500-year-old Roman glass vessel. Its remarkable story, hidden for centuries, is now being revealed. Archaeologists excavated a large cemetery, uncovering an extremely rare and valuable Roman glass vessel. The cage cup, as it's known, was found in pieces, but its fragments were remarkably well preserved. As conservators carefully restored the cup, they discovered an inscription that read, "Vivas feliciter," live happily. It's a poignant message, especially considering the cup's incredible history. Only 10 examples of this type of vessel have survived from antiquity, making the Augustodunum cage cup a true treasure. But what makes it even more fascinating is what was found inside. Conservators sampled the interior of the cup and discovered that it had once contained oils, plants, flowers, and a rare substance called ambergris. Ambergris, also known as sea truffle or whale vomit, is a waxy substance produced in the stomach of sperm whales. In ancient times, it was highly prized for its use in perfume, food, and medicine. The Augustodunum cage cup provides the earliest archaeological evidence of ambergris use, giving us a unique glimpse into the lives of ancient Romans. As we marvel at the Augustodunum cage cup, we're reminded of the ingenuity, craftsmanship, and attention to detail that defined ancient Roman culture. Archaeologists in Britain have also uncovered some surprising artifacts that reveal the Roman Empire's obsession with grooming. Among the discoveries are over 50 tweezers and a nail cleaner, which date back to when Britain was part of the Roman Empire. It turns out that the Romans were total trendsetters when it came to personal grooming. They introduced tweezers to Britain, which quickly became a staple in Roman beauty routines. Can you believe that these ancient tweezers were used to pluck unwanted body hair, and they're still used today? The Romans took their grooming habits very seriously. They could get a manicure or pedicure at home, at the public baths, or even at a barbershop. And they didn't just stop at hair and nails. They also took care of their skin. using various techniques to keep it smooth and healthy. The Roman poet Horace even wrote about the importance of nail care, saying, "A close-shaven man," it said, in an empty barber's booth, penknife in hand, quietly cleaning his nails. It's clear that the Romans valued their appearance and took great care to look their best. In ancient Rome, grooming was an art form, and the wealthy elite spared no expense in looking their absolute best. However, not everyone enjoyed the bustling atmosphere of the Roman bathhouses, where the air was filled with the sounds of hair plucking, scraping, and lively chatter. The philosopher Seneca famously complained about the relentless noise, finding it more irritating than relaxing. Still in the aspect of grooming and keeping healthy, have you ever wondered how these Romans achieved their glowing complexions? It was all thanks to the strigil, a nifty bronze tool adopted from the Greeks. This clever gadget was used to scrape off dirt, sweat, and oil from the skin, leaving it smooth and refreshed. At public baths, Roman men and women would cover themselves in oil and then scrape it off with the strigil, revealing radiant skin beneath. But their attention to grooming wasn't just about vanity, it was also about social status. A well-groomed Roman was basically an icon. They would stop at nothing to look their best, and their grooming habits played a significant role in their social hierarchy. So, what drove the Romans to become the ultimate grooming enthusiasts? A desire for beauty, status, and social acceptance, of course. Their grooming habits were an integral part of their daily lives, and it's fascinating to see how their beauty routines have influenced our own today. Deep within the ruins of ancient Rome, archaeologists have stumbled upon a treasure trove of secrets, revealing the surprising importance of grooming in ancient Roman culture. Among the discoveries are ancient toiletry sets, featuring strigils connected to oil containers, which have left scholars fascinated. But what's even more intriguing is the presence of strigils in ancient graves. Why were these ancient grooming tools considered so valuable? One theory suggests that strigils were closely tied to athleticism, as athletes used them to scrape their bodies after exercising. The Tomb of the Athlete, a 4th century BC grave in Rome, offers a fascinating glimpse into the lives of ancient Romans. Containing 4 bodies and 2 strigils, this discovery highlights the significance of grooming and athleticism in ancient Roman culture. In Bulgaria, archaeologists have uncovered a unique vessel shaped like a man's head, which may have been used to carry oil for scraping with a strigil. This ancient container is a testament to the brilliance of ancient Roman grooming rituals. But you see, apart from using strigils to take care of their bodies, there was something else that these Romans indulged in to stay healthy, and it was having the best meals and hosting the finest gatherings. These Romans loved to party hard, and you would always find the most perfect dishes in these Roman gatherings. Simply put, they had an extremely good diet to stay healthy. But, as with all good things, there was a catch. Imagine stepping into ancient Rome, where the aroma of exotic spices and fresh seafood fills the air. But behind the lavish feasts and grand banquets lies a tale of 2 diets, one for the wealthy and another for the masses. The upper classes indulged in extravagant delicacies, featuring exotic fruits, veggies, shellfish, and snails. Their formal feasts were a spectacle, with multiple dishes served while reclining on comfy couches. And of course, no Roman feast was complete without olive oil, the ultimate staple. But what about the rest of the population? The majority of Romans survived on a humble diet of coarse grains like wheat and millet. Despite living near the sea, they barely ate any fish or seafood, leading to diet-related health issues like anemia and poor dental hygiene. City dwellers fared slightly better, but the further you lived from Rome, the worse your diet became. And surprisingly, men and women had different sources of protein. Men got theirs from cereals, while women relied on meat, eggs, dairy, pulses, and nuts. Let's face it, even today, access to quality food and healthcare can be a luxury. But despite the disparities, the ancient Romans were onto something. They knew that eating the right foods was key to staying healthy. Take, for instance, Galen, a Roman-era doctor who was way ahead of his time. He believed that the food we eat directly affects the waste we produce, and he couldn't have been more right. Despite their unconventional cleaning techniques and hygiene concepts, The ancient Romans laid the groundwork for modern science and hygiene practices. Thanks to them, we enjoy a wide range of perfumes and sewage systems that keep our communities clean and healthy, amongst many others. It's fascinating to see how their innovative ideas have evolved over time, shaping the way we live today. Kudos to the Romans for paving the way.